Hello guys, and in today's video, we're going to be reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. This is the first part of a video that will have many continuations. Let's begin. Introducing Charlie Bucket, Mr. Willy Wonka, Augustus Gloop, Mike TV, Veruca Salt, Violet Beauregard, and the Oompa Loompas. If this sounds familiar and you've watched the movie, then this is why. This is the original book. Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Here comes Charlie. These two very old people are the father and mother of Mr. Bucket. Their names are Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine. They're pretty old. And these two very old people are the father of mother of Miss Bucket. Their names are Grandma George and Grandma Georgina. This is Mr. Bucket. This is Mrs. Bucket. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket have a small boy whose name is Charlie Bucket. This is Charlie. How do you do? And how do you do? And how do you do again? He's pleased to meet you. The whole of his family, the 6 grown-ups count them, as little Charlie Bucket lived together in a small wooden house on the edge of a great town. The reason I'm not going to finish this page before I show you the pictures, because the page doesn't have any pictures. There you go. What's up? No reveal, guys. No reveal. The home wasn't nearby large enough. Wasn't nearby large enough for so many people. And life was extremely uncomfortable for them all. There were only 2 rooms in the place. Altogether, there was only 1 bed. The bed was given to the 4 old grandparents because they were so old and tired. They were so tired that they never got out of it. Grandpa Joe and Grandpa Josephine on this side, Grandpa Joe and Grandpa Josephine on this side, Mr. and Mrs. Bucket and little Charlie Bucket slept in the other room upon a mattress on the floor. In the summertime, this wasn't too bad, but in the winter, freezing cold draughts blew across the floor all night long, and it was awful. There wasn't any questions of them being able to buy a better house, or even 1 more bed to sleep in. They were far too poor for that. Mr. Bucket was the only person in the family with a job. He worked at a toothpaste factory where he sat all day long on a bench and screwed the little caps onto the top of the tubes of toothpaste. After the tubes had been filled, but with the cap screwer, it never paid very much money. And poor Mr. Bucket is never paid very much money. However hard he worked, however fast he screwed on the caps, it was never able to make him enough money to buy a half the things he needed for such a large family. There wasn't enough money to buy proper food for them all. The only meals they could afford were bread and margarita for breakfast, boiled potatoes and cabbage for lunch, and cabbage soup for supper. Supper means dinner. Sundays were a bit better. They all looked forward to Sundays became then, although they had expectingly the same, everybody was allowed to have second helpings. The buckets, of course, did not starve, but everyone, the two old grandfathers and the two old grandmothers, Charlie's father, Charlie's mother, and especially Charlie himself, went about from morning till night with a horrible empty feeling in their tummies. Charlie felt the worst, although his father and mother often went without their own share of lunch or supper, so that they could give it to him. It still wasn't nearly enough for a growing boy. He was desperately wanted something more filling and satisfying. This is part 1 of it. Follow for part 2.